Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It is our Saturday sports special. A pleasant good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to our weekly sports program. I'm Michael Bascom, co-host Rudy and Sylvan will be joining us momentarily, and our special guest this afternoon we have the chairperson of I always try to get it correctly as possible. Let me get it, the Grenada Association of Principals of Secondary Schools. I think I have it right. Okay, I know there are different acronyms that we use. Right. This is Dianne Abel-Jeffrey. She's the chair of that committee. And then we also joining us later on, hopefully, is Mr. Carl Andall, who is the vice chair as well. Okay, and we'll be talking about Intercol 2025. As you recall, last year, around now, so when I mean, just before Intercol, we had Mrs. Jeffrey with us and gave us, insights into, well, she was along with others, I should say. I think Mrs. Anfine was there. Mr. Andall was also there, but we got lots of information regarding Intercol 2025. 2024, sorry, that was then. 2025 now, and we are just about a week or so away from Intercol, a week and a half, yeah, 2025, and the momentum is building. As you would have seen on social media for the past few days, the schools are now part of it, and we'll be talking to Mrs. Jeffrey about this aspect of it regarding the torch relay because I think it brought a new vibes. You see all the kids and um, from school to school and things like that. So let me welcome Mrs. Jeffrey to our program once again. Good afternoon to you, Mrs. Jeffrey, and welcome to Talk Sports.
Good afternoon, Michael, and let me give you the correct names.
Please do, because I've always been struggling with that.
All right, so you got the name right, but I'm the president of the Grenada Association of Principals of Secondary Schools,
Right,
and Mr. Andal is the vice president.
right.
I am the chairman
Of
of
the
the, well, like some
yeah,
people like to say chairperson, but I know
right,
chairman is the generic thing, so I go
right,
with
yeah,
that,
yeah.
right? Of the Grenada Secondary School Games
Games Association.
Association.
Right.
Yes. And Mr. Andal is the assistant for the
Yeah.
deputy.
But
Right.
we
So
forgot
it's
we
two
forgot
different things, but it's the
yeah,
same more or less because one is a body within. So the Grenada Secondary School Games Association is actually an association of the Grenada Association of Principals of Secondary Schools. Um, that's a committee that was put together consisting of principals and other stakeholders with the expertise for the
right.
planning and the execution of the Intercol Games.
Yes. And then we forgot to add one more thing. Principal of the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School.
Yes, yes.
Right. Don't leave that out. Don't leave that out. You might be crucified for not
Oh,
knowing
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Right? So thank you again and welcome and thanks for that explanation. It's always a pleasure speaking with you regarding school sports and school in general. And as I said in my intro, the momentum is building, right?
Yes,
And
definitely.
we are seeing through the I think it's a torch,
Touch, the touch rod. All
torch
right.
run, yeah, the
Yes,
various
yes.
let's start off with that because I think by and large, prior to this year, we just hearing about Intercol and
Mm-hmm,
all that it is, and then folks just show up
mm-hmm,
for Intercol. But there seems to be a momentum, there seems to be a vibe with this torch
mm-hmm.
run. Let's talk about it.
You're right. So let me start again, restart after the correction by saying good greetings, well, because it can we can be afternoon or evening or
Yeah,
morning,
morning.
whatever it is, wherever you are, to the audience that's tuned in or who will tune in later.
Yeah,
So right. So yes, as you have said, it's really picking up momentum. The touch run it started on the 21st of March in a sister isle of Carriacou with our two Carriacou schools, the Hillsborough Secondary School and Bishop's College. And from the onset, it has been really, really, really a spectacle for an enjoyable activity for those engaged in it and a spectacle for those who are viewing. And then the torch came to mainland from the 24th. It was relayed to the two schools on the hill in Chantin. So we had GBSS and high school receiving the torch, and then it moved from there. I think I do not. Let me get the schedule so I will not leave out anybody, so that no one will feel that.
Yeah, I saw J.W. Fletcher. I saw J.W. Fletcher.
Right. So I think high school brought.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have it. So high school brought to St. Joseph's Convent, and GBSS brought to PBC. And then from there, we had St. Joseph's Convent bringing to J.W. Fletcher, as well as PBC bringing to J.W. Fletcher. And then we went to Wesley College, then Westmoreland, from Westmoreland to SGI, from SGI to Boca Secondary, and from Boca we went to to Happy Hill, and from Happy Hill, Wesley College, Wester Hall Secondary. And it's now at Wester Hall Secondary, and we'll be moving from St. David in the upcoming week to St. Andrew, through St. Andrew, then to St. Patrick, through St. Patrick, then to St. Mark, and then down to St. John, and then it will come back to the champion schools. So it will be coming back to SAS, and it will be one will be coming to SAS, and one will be going to St. David Secondary School. And these two schools, who are the reigning champion schools from last year, they're going to relay the torch on the day of Intercol. So for the opening ceremony, we'll have a short run into the stadium during the opening ceremony, and these schools will then light the one torch that brings us all together at the Intercol Games, the Intercol Championship. You're muted. I'm not hearing.
Yes, I know from time to time you'll be getting so many suggestions and and things to consider.
Mm-hmm.
But how was it easy for you and your committee to come up with something like that?
So it's actually us as principals that decided on that. As I said, the principals is the overarching body, the parent body. So we've decided that this is something that could really um, help to promote the Intercol Games, and we decided to. I placed a small committee to look into the scheduling, and then we implemented from there. We had a bit of a challenge at the beginning because we actually made our torches, but they were not very durable. So we had to resort on the spur of the moment, thankfully, that we were able to get the cooperation and the assistance, the support of the Grenada Olympic Committee. And so we were able to get the use of those that we are using currently. I also must say thanks to the entities that came on board. We have just school photos who voluntarily follow the torch run and do all the photos and all the videos, although the schools are also making their own. But Just School is doing a tremendous job with that. And he's also managing the drinks that the athletes that are running are powered with. And this team complements George F. Huggins, who also decided once they heard of the torch run to come on board with that.
All right. Well, good going in terms of that. And as I said, um, in terms of social media, I like how the schools and getting involved in it, and they're showing the little clips of them in terms of the handover, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
seems as if, well, based on what you're saying, all schools somewhere or the other will participate, you know, in that torch
Yes,
run,
yes, every school. Yeah,
right?
every school will get all of well, the torches. Once you are, if you are a mixed school, a
Uh,
co-ed, you will have both. If you are single sex, you will have according to your um your school population. So the males would
okay.
pass to the males and so forth.
Don't be afraid. You almost said every school will get a blind. I heard it. Yeah, don't be afraid. Every school will get a blind. That's true. Yeah, all the schools will get a
Yes.
blind. Good afternoon to you, Rudy, and in Toronto. Certainly,
Good
yeah,
afternoon, Miss Jeffrey. It's a pleasure to have you on with
Good
us.
afternoon, good afternoon,
And
Rudian.
it's
Nice to
certainly
see
good
you
to see
again.
you. Certainly good to see you.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
I was all week I was before I see the torch passing, all week I'm thinking of what I can talk about. And I say, how
Mm-hmm.
can you guys come up with something creative? And I actually did thought of that because when I look at um in Grenada, um there is two major events happening in Grenada. It's
Mm-hmm.
Carnival and then Intercol in terms
Mm-hmm.
of multiple days. There is no other event that is bigger than those two events in Grenada.
Oh, yeah.
And I try to figure how can we make it grand. And I like what I've seen, even though it's a shorter time. And my question now, can it be expanded to a full year? In terms of you put the you making the hype happen. Sometimes a
Mm-hmm.
school may have the torch for a week. It doesn't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
mean that they have it for a short time. It just expanding on the hype and also probably do social media as well. So kids can maybe start posting little things, doing certain things. And I'm only saying this because of what we do here. So I try to bring what we do
Mm-hmm.
here for our high school championship. Um, and another thing I wanted to ask is in terms of do you guys have a different design for Intercall year after year, or is the same design? Like, yeah,
We
because you could
always
also
try
turn that,
to be
you could turn it into,
innovative because,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, because
we try to be
to be
innovative.
innovative, yeah,
Try to find something additional, something that would enhance the games. We know
yeah,
we acknowledge that it is the premier sporting event for um, Grenada, and that it is one of the biggest events in Grenada. And we believe that it can um, really do much more for building the students, not just in sports, because when the students participate in sports, and even those that are not active athletes, those that are not athletes but are participating in other aspects of the sports, they are actually building character. So we try to see how we can bring up those characteristics and build on them with the students.
yeah,
So we bring out their creativity because every school now is being very creative in terms of what they do when they have to engage in the culture. And
yes,
this
yeah,
one, it's a combination of innovations from the staff and the students, and that's the
that's
kind of
definitely
thing
nice.
that we want to
Yeah,
see. And yes, we can consider expanding it for a longer period. It was
yeah,
only because when the idea came up, we were
that's
at this stage, so we had to try to see how we could fit it in into the schedule that we had. And I must say
yeah.
thanks to Mr. Bona George, that's principal of GCA. He worked along with me for us to schedule it. So that was a small committee, and we were really able to get something to work within the time constraints that we
Yeah.
had.
Because it's amazing to see how as they always say little Grenada and small Grenada, 100,000 people. They tend to see that, but when it comes to high school sports, we are the second biggest track and field in the
Yes, yes,
Caribbean. There is no other except Jamaica that is as grand as
yes,
we are. So the sport itself is growing. So how do how can you do something to get more of the businesses get involved. Now, also, I was going to also ask to expand it, not only to the business, also ask for the past students of a diaspora. How can they support? What can they do? What can they give just to expand? Because it is, and then you're going to find most of these people coming in just for those games at the same time. So it's something you can do. And when I mentioned the design because it also could be a competition. All schools, students in different schools could make a different, and they design, and you can choose that one. What we do up here, we give them a gift card for because actually we are hosting. So in Ontario, every region get to host the games, the high school games, because it move around. So this year is our turn. So we are hosting. So one of the things we actually did where they get the kids to design, and we have them the winner get a gift card for they go somewhere
So when you
and
when
get
you ask
something.
right, so initially when you ask about the design, I thought you were referring to the design of the like how you run up you execute the games itself. I wasn't thinking of that type of design, so that's why I gave you that answer.
That
So
answer, yeah.
yeah, we don't do a design each year. It just so happens that this year, because we have a new sponsor, that we decided to do a new design of our logo. And again, I have to say thanks to my visual arts teacher, Mr. Larry John, along with Mr. The manager of Photo Max. Uh, I always forget his name, Gary something. But it's they worked collaboratively with input from a teacher from visual arts teacher from SJC also, and in consultation with some of my principals, and we were
Yeah.
able to come up with a new design
And
for
design, yeah.
yes for the Intercol
Yeah.
logo
Okay.
this year. Yes.
Okay.
So we don't do a new thing every
Every year. Every year.
year.
Okay, I understand.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, Here's what I'm saying. Good morning, Mrs. Jeffrey. Thanks for all the hard work and dedication, and definitely love what I'm seeing with the torch passing. Martin Alexander is saying the introduction of the March Pass was a great initiative. Um, um, of the March, well, the March Pass he's referring to,
Yeah.
a great initiative. Oh, and he said, I think he was talking about Gary. I think you were trying to remember.
Gary. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He said that's why the word intercall is in blue. Martin, Martin, good go there, Martin. Yeah.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
I did not. But you know, we bleed, But
Yeah.
I'm representing Intercol at this time, so we would keep it there. But so
Okay.
let me say hello to Hazelando and to all the others who commented here. Um, we we continue to do whatever we can to ensure that the athletes really make the best of the games every year.
Mm.
We do not. I know that I said I'm from a particular school. I'm from SAS. Everybody knows I'm principal of SAS, as you've said there. But when I come here, I'm speaking about athletes in general, and we're
Yeah.
looking at yes, and we're looking at how we can develop the athletes in general. And we do not do anything in favor of one set or one school over another. So I know it's a joke, but still,
But no, no, no. Because I remember last year we asked you the question, Mrs. Jeffrey,
uh,
how how it is that and how do you converse when you're the principal of SAS and your husband is from McDonald College, you know,
and my son is from Boca,
and your son is from Boca.
This one
Yeah,
is in
that's what I'm
Boca,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
from McDonald College first student,
right.
but he teaches at Boca. My daughter is SAS too.
Well,
But
that's
I
what I'm
want to
saying.
yes, I want to go back to continue. So I was saying that we do things to enhance the whole the athletes and also the other students because we want to get them actively engaged. So last year we came up with the March Fast, which was sponsored by Classic Lighting Caribbean. Again, we take on board any idea that we find that would help to enhance the product that we're producing. And that was a very great idea that we got from the sponsor himself. He wanted to see something like that, and we ran with it. We organized it, and we ensured that there was maximum participation. And this year, we are going to continue again with the same sponsorship, Classic Lighting Caribbean. So we say thanks to Classic Lighting Caribbean, who is going to be partnering with other entities like Nawasa. I know for sure will be joining him in that aspect. And I know there are others that he hasn't revealed who they are as yet, so we cannot mention them here as yet. But I know that they will be coming on board to ensure that this aspect of the Intercol is also improved over last year. And you will know that last year it was exemplary already. So, yeah, we have more schools participating this year in both the male and the female categories.
There's so many things we want to touch on, but I saw Edwin, and I'll give you the opportunity to speak about it because, I mean, very good news though, but he says, good afternoon, everyone. Not sure if the distinguished lady mentioned the streaming options available, in terms of broadcast,
right.
You go ahead. I'll give you the opportunity.
Yes, so yes, we are going to be streaming live again. So our producer, as always, because we want the quality, and he always gives us that quality production, TNR Communications. The difference this year is that we are not going to do pay-per-view, but we are kindly asking for contributions, and I'll tell you why. Now, Intercol is a premier event, but Intercol is a very expensive event.
Yeah.
Well, we know that sports in general is very costly. It's costly for the organizers as well as for the schools. And our vision, our goal is to really give back much more to the schools. So last year, for the first time, we were able to award the top 5 schools, up to 5, with satisfactory awards, monetary, we're speaking of. The top 5. I think the first place got 10,000, and we want to do much better than that. But that's what we could have afforded last year. And thanks again, because the government of Grenada was able to pull us from the shortfall and to assist with that. Because something that we do not realize is that though Intercol seems to be a sellout activity event on the 3rd day, the first and the second days are not so well
patronized.
Patronized, yes.
Yeah.
But they cost the same.
Right. I was about to say,
execute. Yeah, they cost the same. So we have to spend back whatever. And then we also have limited capacity in the stadium. So we cannot hold as much as people believe that we can hold. So we sell tickets. You might see more people than the number of seats that it can hold. But that's because we have hundreds of persons walking, and we may have over maybe thousands coming in free. Well, it would be definitely be thousands, because those that are volunteering, in addition to, we have the teachers, we have the very important people that we must invite, yes, and we cannot ask them to pay. So these are all adding up to the numbers, and there's no revenue. So the gate receipts are not able to cover all of the expenses. Sponsorship, we're very thankful to our sponsors, and we have some that come back year after year after year. Some give us monetary, some give us kind. And everything that we get, we're very appreciative of it, because it makes a difference. This year, we have the government of Grenada really investing into the development of the youth. And they have pledged $300,000. Now, last year, it cost us over $500,000. for the Intercol Games. And we were looking, as we say, to improve each year so that we can give back more to our schools. So we had a bigger budget for this year. So we know that even with that, it's not covering everything. It will definitely not be able to cover everything. So the government of Grenada, through the National Lotteries Authority, they're giving us that. We also have the Diamond Sponsor Investment Migration Agency, IMA, who is also, and they are the ones that are helping us to ensure that the streaming can come live. And we can now concentrate on not asking people to pay for a viewing, but voluntarily give a contribution as they can afford, as they see it fit, because we really need to give the student athletes, the schools, and of course the organizing committees would have to pay off a lot of caterers and so. So we need to have sufficient funds. So we're kindly asking, though we're giving the streaming free, we're asking to kindly contribute, because it's going to be for the development, the further development of our student athletes.
So for those who want to open their wallet now, how can they make that contribution?
Okay, so they can get in touch with us and contribute, because we can share them through the treasurer. We can share our accounts information.
Okay, right.
So that we'll be able. I wouldn't be able to pull it off here right now, but they can get in touch. If they wish to, they could get in touch with you, and you'll get in touch with me. So then I'll be able to provide that information that you'll be able to promote for.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So, folks, no pay-per-view, but there's an opportunity for you to make a contribution towards the live streaming. As explained, it costs tremendously. In fact, I was monitoring the Boys and Girls Championships in Jamaica, which we sort of, model sometimes. And the sponsors alone, sponsorship, the main sponsor, which is Grace Kennedy. 104 million Jamaican dollars, roughly about over 600,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars. That's just one sponsor, over 600,000 US dollars. Sorry, 1.4 million EC dollars. 1.4 million EC dollars from one sponsor. It just gives you the depth in terms of the sort of expense that they go into. And by the way, similar to Grenada, the last day is the main day.
Definitely.
Which is today, is the day when the stadium will be filled. Okay? Even up to yesterday, which was Friday, the penultimate day, you could have seen probably the secondary pavilion was almost empty, right? But today is the main day, similar to Grenada, when your Thursday, your final day, is probably a main day. So it's a cost factor indeed, and folks, if you can assist in any way possible, because you will have the luxury, especially those in the diaspora, you will have the luxury to be at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium through the live streaming.
And even that we wish to enhance too, so that your viewing would be so enjoyable that you would see. Yes.
All right. So I just got some information there. Intercol, the donation link will be given to allow people to donate. Right.
Yes.
So that's a donation app will be up so persons can donate. So folks, right, that'll be good. So you'll be able to make donations. You'll have a link, you'll have whatever it is that's available. So you'll be able to make a contribution, because by the way, our streaming of Intercol has been top notch, right? And so we must give kudos to TRR Communications as well for the emphasis they have put into the commentary, quality of the broadcast, the drones, all these sort of things. which has probably elevated the quality of the broadcast, right? I know a lot of folks have been complaining about this. Hey, you're getting it free. Please enjoy. Make a contribution. Yeah, yeah. Make a contribution. Uh, yes. While here, let me extend congratulations to our athletes from Carrick who are making us proud in Jamaica. Certainly, yes.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Yes.
we'll come back to some of those things, but getting into the day of Intercall, what can spectators expect? Let's look at day one.
Mm-hmm.
St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School staff, St. David's Catholic Secondary School,
Mm-hmm.
bringing in the torch, right?
Right.
On the
So
day, what can we
unlike
expect again?
last year, right? So unlike last year, we will not be doing the opening ceremony in the morning because we have experimented with that last year,
Yes.
but we had some hiccups.
Mhm.
And we always try as much as possible to run off our events in a timely manner so that students can get back to their respective homes early enough. Because, and especially, you have 3 days for safety, one, and also so that they can get adequate rest, including the athletes, because a lot of them have to travel back to long distances in St. Andrew, St. Patrick, St. John, St. Mark, St. David. Uh, they're not all in the vicinity of the national of the Tyranny James Athletic Stadium. So we need to get them back in a timely manner so they can get adequate rest and they can leave early in the morning, leave it, feeling refreshed again to start again. And each day will be starting at 9 a.m. Last year we had some first day challenges that and I remember that the rain fell also, but besides that, we also had some first day seeding challenges that pushed us a little beyond. So we believe that just during the intermission, before we resume the second half of the day, that we can fit in the opening ceremony there. So that's our aim to do our opening ceremony there, and that's our plan. And we would also do our march past there. So we'd have the parade of the athletes. We hope to have those two things occurring in a very seamless manner. Um, we're going to definitely have it done that way. We're planning to, and once we plan well, we will execute well. So we will have both happening on the first day. As I've said, the two schools, the two champion schools from last year, they will be bringing in the torch to be lit at the stadium. However, this, as I said, will be done again in the opening ceremony. So they would go somewhere not too far from the stadium and run into the stadium with the torch or the torches because we have two, and enter the stadium and do the ceremonial lighting of the torch, the one torch that symbolizes the unity of all the schools.
Yeah,
Um,
well,
right. We would have, well, the usual things that would happen at the ceremony. We would have few brief remarks, very brief remarks. The parade of the athletes, as I've said. We were supposed to do something in addition, but we were going to be moving it to the last day, because that's the request of the Olympic committee that we move that to the last day. And so I'm going to just jump into the second day, the last day, in terms of those aspects there, and then I'll take us return to the first day in terms of the events. I would not be able to give you the specific events off my head also, and I did not prepare any details here to come with because I was expecting that Mr. Andall would have been here to deal with that aspect. I can pull
okay.
it up, but it would take us a little while. So the second day, we would have another march past again during the intermission. And one of those days, either the first or the second day, we're hoping to have the appearance by at least one local upcoming artist. That's someone who we haven't finalized it yet with the manager, so we were not going to say we're going to have that. But it's something in the making. that we're going to have, that it's someone that the children, the students are very much into. So it's something that they will encouraging them to come out for the first and the second day so that you can be a part of this, enjoy that occasion. We may even have some tuk-tuk rides happening, but you would have to show that it may take place outside, but you would have to show that you have purchased your ticket for the Intercol Games. So you have a ticket for the Intercol Games in order to get onto those rides. So this is something that may be happening also. We haven't finalized this as yet. But if they're happening on the first and the second days of either or. Either the first and the second days or either or. The Thursday, as we do the closing, we will also have something to look forward to. The showcase of the King's Baton, as the Commonwealth Games will be held, I think it's in Scotland in August. So there will be a symbolic showcase, or not a symbolic, but a showcase of the King's Battle, and a few remarks to give us a little bit more details about its significance and so on. And of course, the final awards that will be distributed to all of the winners in terms of the categories and the winners in terms of the schools, overall winners, and the top three winners from the different championships, the male and the female, as well as we usually do the co-ed also. So we'll be having all of that happening. Something again that we need to look forward to. We want to encourage the athletes to really do their best. And we think a lot about athletes' care. So we always think about our athletes. That's what we think of. We want to develop, we want to create, we want to produce more Hazeland Rages, more Kirani James, Scott Phillips, Anderson Peters, more Randy Lewis, more Pesh. We want to produce much more. So we're encouraging the athletes to take care of themselves and to also do their best. And one of the things that we'll be coming on board with through the kind compliments again and the sponsorship of same TNR Communications, every record that is broken, the athletes who break those records would receive $250. So that is something that athletes can look forward to. And then if I go back to the days, in terms of the events, we have a total of 90 events for over the 3 days. Usually, and I say to people, if you want to see real sports, you need to come the first and the second day. Because the third day have less events. The third day has less events than the first and the second days. As I said, I can't go into the nitty-gritty of which events are taking place when, but
well, I have.
So he's here.
Yeah. So
I'm here. I'm here whole evening, Miss Jeffrey. I'm here a while now.
Well, we were not seeing him. We were not.
No, I had some issues with my camera, but I've been listening to you all for the last half an hour.
Yeah, he has been on, probably listening, but we were not seeing him. But
because last year he come on to he give us I heard you say it was 3 of us last year. He give us.
Well, just like last year, I'm on the road, Miss Jeffrey. You know that I'm on the road. I had to get a quiet spot to come on. So.
All right.
Welcome, Mr. Andall. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, and I think your name mentioned somewhere, because this is Jeffrey was trying to remember something or recall something that you said. I think Mr. Andall would have been probably the best person to assist. But go ahead.
You asked about the events on the Thursday, the schedule of events, but all I would say is that has not changed over the years.
Mm.
So the year before, 2023, we had an issue where the schedule was not very both spectator and athlete friendly. We had a case where we had all the 4 on one day, all the 4 on the first day, all the 2 on the second day and all the ones on the last day.
Right.
So we have changed that last year where we actually would have a mixed bag. So on the different days, you could get a viewing of the 3 major, the 1, the 2, 4. Yes.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. So basically, it's a means to encourage people to come on
Yes.
day 1, day 2, and day 3, all the days. Because
Yeah, very much so. So the different categories, they would perform in the different activities on. So let's say, for example, if on the first day you have the 400 meter senior boys, then the second day you might have the 2, and the third day you have the 1, and it mix accordingly.
Right. That's good. Your boy always like to tease you, so I'll just drop one there. I don't know if you'll comment on it. Lincoln Toro Deputy. I'm trying to convince GBSS to participate in Intercol 2025. The fellas say they are tired winning.
Well, I don't understand, Mr. Deputy, because since 2018, the last Intercol we had Intercol 2018, and after that, the first Intercol we had was 2023. GBSS won in 23, SAS won in 24. So if GBSS started winning Intercol, it's something else in winning, not that one.
You know that. But some kudos coming in fact about the Keys I say nice initiatives talking about the whole idea about the coach and everything about the Intercol these days is and the height definitely these things sound good, but we cannot try to do too many things in this one track and field meet, include the King's Batter. It's King Charles sending we some good money for sports development. Kenny says, good afternoon, host and guests. I'm here really just in attendance and informing myself on the planned program for Intercol. I would like to suggest the organizers to consider from 2026 onwards to have joint merchandising at the games for patrons. Each school can initiate to procure and have them sold for procurement and have them sold at the venue. It's time we take our mini Olympics to Spring Heights. This is an opportunity to increase revenue for all schools, getting schools involved.
Definitely. And then we're having, so this will just bring something to mind because we're having real competition from people who are using the schools and the Intercol Games for their profit, and it's not benefiting the schools or the Intercol Games. Like the organizing committee cannot say, well, they're getting anything to help to offset any of the expenses. And we're also using this opportunity to appeal to those who are doing so to consider the expense that schools go through to send their athletes down to the Intercol Games to participate. I keep saying to send them down because I'm coming from up. So let me use to participate in the Intercol Games each year. And whatever it is, even if it's a small contribution that can be made to the schools, we would appreciate that. We've seen over the years all small businesses, some of them just starting off around Intercol time, producing Intercol or school branded merchandise, and there is no give back to the school. So we've made a strong statement asking that permission be sought first. It's a bit to get permission now because a lot of them have already started, but at the same time, we could still work something out. We would appreciate them getting in touch with us because they have already started. And going forward, this is not the way to do it because the schools really need to get some form of revenue. And what Kenny said there, yes, that's a way. But when people start off very early and they're selling all those products up front, there's no space in the market for the schools. So there is one entity that got in touch with us very early. That's the oil dung factory. So that one was cleared. But every other entity, they went ahead and they did whatever. There are some that are very few of them. They, in the midst of it all, as we made the public statement, they got in touch, about 3 of them. So we're considering putting out something there so that people will know that these 3 have committed to giving something back for this year.
Yeah, because I believe that anyone attempting to do it should liaise with the school first, right?
Yeah.
Liaise with the school first. If you have an idea, talk to the school. The school may not be in a position to deal with it wholeheartedly, but they may support it and ultimately benefit from it to some extent. But don't go ahead doing it and then with the hope that the school may just fall in line, because you can't just take a school logo and just use it for your own, for your own profit and things like that. So my thing is that you should consult with the school first, let the school give it its blessing, and then you can work along with the school in terms of the whole merchandising and thing. And as you say, sometimes it's only around Intercol that these they just come about and profited from it, and nothing going towards the schools, right? It's just for them to make as they say, to make money,
But also on the legal front, isn't that illegal to be using the school merchandise or name?
Is it illegal? It is illegal.
So that's what I'm saying. It is illegal for that to happen. Illegal, so that's something that school, you guys have to put out.
Yeah,
to be using the school name.
They did put out a statement.
Yeah, we did put out. Yes.
But by all means, people will still figure that they can do what they want. But it's a good idea that, and probably is an opportunity for schools to start, looking at their own merchandising early. I was, I'm following the boys and girls championships, and I noticed that some of the schools, for example, they have started their merchandising very, very early to the point where even the folks that were coming from the diaspora, from New York and Florida and things like that. So they had some of their merchandising coming from the diaspora and going towards that because they ordered this thing very early,
Yeah.
So probably schools can look at their own merchandising, not just for Intercol.
It's a dream. It's a dream, but to start, you have to have the finance to start, and that's the limitation of our schools. We don't have it.
Mr. Bascom, I've been seeing green and blue for sale on social media. You didn't see them?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Yes, I've been seeing green T-shirts. I've been seeing blue T-shirts. So to me, two schools already started that. When you say green and blue, you know what we're referring to, huh?
Yes, we do.
Sometimes we can't.
But
you sure not doing that?
Sebastian, following boys and girls shams though, when I look at the performances of the athletes, I must say that despite the hype for our Intercol, we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And that is concerning for me. We have a lot of work to do. And I always like to take this opportunity to appeal to firstly the government of Grenada with our sports policy. Because you see, too much times, a lot of the athletes being produced is dependent too much on the school and the clubs with limited resources. So I think we have a lot of hype. We keep on boasting that this is the second most organized sporting meet in the Caribbean. But we should not operate as business as usual because Mrs. Jeffrey spoke about records being broken. I tell you, Ms. Jeffrey, if we have records broken at Intercol, it will be relatively new records for some of the new events. I've been going through the Intercol program sometime last week, and we have some very old records.
Yeah.
And as we speak, the kids are not coming even very close to them.
Yeah.
So this is telling us that we.
Go ahead, Mr. Andall. It's something pertaining to some of the records, because I remember there was a time there was an age change. So continue, and then I'm going to ask.
No. I'm aware of that, Ms. Jeffrey, but I'm also I'm aware of the fact that some of the records I'm speaking about, it happened even before the age change. Okay, because you see, with the age change, we had a case where a first-year junior was running still as sub-junior.
Sub-junior, yeah.
And a first-year senior was running as junior. But despite the fact that these things came and went, we're having some records that are long before. And the kids' performance, they're not even on par. They're very, very far apart. So all I'm saying is that we have a lot of work to do. I know we're doing things to to make it better. But we still have to go back to before the day, because sometimes the most assistance we get for Intercol is on the day. Yes. Sponsors come on board, persons come on board, but I'm keep on appealing. We want these persons to come on board at the grassroots level, so that we could see a difference in the children performance.
Right. And then we also have to be mindful that Intercol is not a 3-day event, really. That's the culmination of Intercol for the year. Intercol is really year-round, over and over again, because we need, as Mr. Andall is saying, to train those athletes. We need to train them. We need, and that's where we need, and we must say thanks again. I must say thanks again for the government, for taking a step in the right direction. Because what we're speaking about here is the development of our youth. We're speaking about, so it's not something that should be left in the hands of the principal, for the Principals Association alone to take responsibility for. We are doing our part, and we need everybody else to come on board, because at the end, when we're able to produce those top athletes, like our Olympians, it's the nation that is benefiting. And this is not a school thing now. It's a national pride. We're touching lives of families. We're touching lives of everyone. So everybody's supposed to come on board, as Mr. Andall says, from the very beginning, so that we can build and improve on the product that we now have.
Okay, Mr. Andall, so I'm giving you an opportunity to expand a little more in terms of the sort of assistance that's needed, and again, not just a week or 2 weeks before Intercol, right? And by extension, you're saying, if we get that sort of support probably at the primary school level, you said the grassroots, so I'm looking at the primary school and even earlier, that will somehow even make it easier for at the level of Intercol, the secondary schools. I mean, most times when we talk about assistance, we look at government, but it seems as if you're saying we need everyone on board as much as possible in terms of support, sponsors, government, private sector, whoever it is. Give a little meat to that.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity, because you see, I'm involved in that in various capacities. So I'm principal, yes. I'm still a coach. And I know what it takes. The program, most schools program, you're starting around August. And as you speak, it's a very big investment. A lot of our kids post socioeconomic background. So when you're in the cross-country phase, you start doing road running, you can't send them barefoot. You need to get running shoes for them. You need to get running shoes for them. You need to feed them. You need to get supplements for them. When we reach on the track, we need to get spikes for them. We need to purchase uniforms. So the thing about it, some of our kids come with great potential. And when you have a chat with them, you realize that the diet is very poor. So I know of schools in Jamaica that have their own nutritionists. So because you see, in Grenada, we're still guessing. So what I'm saying is that and Ms. Jeffrey could bear me on that. So when a school is sponsored, the sponsorship will basically cover uniform. But it takes much more than uniform to really build an effective program. You need gym equipment. You need a weight program. So all I'm saying here is that it has to be holistic, and it has to be year-round. The government, the business sector should be aware of that. It kind of also bonds me that the school who do well is the school that have the know-how as well as the resources. All of our children come from the same backgrounds, but certain kids or certain athletes live in primary school. Once they attend certain schools, it's very, very difficult for the career to advance. So as much as possible, we have to try to level the playing field. And I have made appeal, not just for material resources, I have made an appeal to the Ministry of Sports for trained personnel. So for example, I believe that, okay, so right now as we speak, we have persons who are community sport people. They are now placed in schools, but you can't expect to place them in schools and expect them to perform. I want the decision to be taken, place them in schools, build a capacity from time to time, give them the necessary training. We have a lot of skilled coaches in Grenada. We have people like Mark Swin and Paul Phillip and others who impart a lot of knowledge, Dennis Williams and others. So when you place these people in both the primary and the secondary school, you give them an opportunity to build a capacity. So after a while, notwithstanding what school an athlete attend, you know for certain they would get the part of a good program, the coach is qualified to help them, and that by itself, Mr. Bascom, would actually raise the bar. Because we should not go at the gaze where that if you go to Wesley College or if you go to St. Mark's or such, you don't expect nothing from them. The SAS and the GBSS now would be forced to up the game. Because all of a sudden you have top athletes coming out throughout the island. Mr. Bascom, we just over 100,000. Our pool is very, very small. And to me, any child that we lose, any potential that we lose, is a great loss for us. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, point well taken. And I do understand that. It's basically the foundation you're speaking about, so that, and you mentioned the names like Wayne McSween and Paul and Denny's and others, working with those kids at a very early stage, so that whatever school they go to, whether it's West Poland or Wesley College or PBC or whoever, they have the foundation in terms of the sport, right?
Stick up in. Not only the kids that the coaches, the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So I want them to place people in schools, and eventually these persons could get training so they could be coaches on their own.
Coaches, okay, right, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true, right. That's well understood. Mr. Lee Coffey says, yes, one of the records in the 400-meter sub-junior boys, that's actually a first-year junior record time based on the change. And I do agree with Mr. Andall, the government definitely needs to step up and assist schools and clubs in a more meaningful way. Chenny says, part of the reasons for the lack of athletes struggling to erase those old marks is also with the limited amount of events that is executed back-to-back. We need to work on a more extensive program for competitions. Excellent conversation. Yeah, so quite a bit. Can each parish have a nutritionist and physiotherapist? I also asked that when the Athletes Commission have workshops on nutrition, high school transition, etc., that we encourage our athletes to attend. Having a nutritionist and a physiotherapist, it means those who are qualified, Hazel. So we had to make sure that first they are qualified. Gone are the days where anyone just pick up a bag and run onto the field and wrap around your ankle and things like that.
Yeah, no, you can't call them a physiotherapist. So, Mr. Bascom, for example, since the beginning of the year, I have been carrying different athletes to a physiotherapist. And right now, I'm sorting the bill run up to thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I know.
So I was just waiting for a little part to put in that. I was just about to say, Mr. Andall spoke about a number of expenses that a number of areas that we need to consider, and I believe that we also had to look at that in terms of the number of injuries and so that are sustained and how much it costs
to
manage those injuries or to nurse the athletes back so and full health. We also have to think about the mental the mentality. We have to build the athletes mentally. In a lot of cases, a lot of situations, we have that sort of level of weakness in terms of mental weakness, not physical weakness.
Mm-hmm.
That is affecting athletes' performance. So we need to look into the area also of sports psychology. How do we get the athletes to really believe in themselves and to extend themselves to their fullest capacity, not just as Mr. Andall hinted there a while ago. People just come, they get up, they sing, they go and they run, but that they also understand what they're doing. So not just the coaches, but the athletes themselves understand what they're doing. So we need these people to work with them so that they would become stronger mentally. And the combination of that mental strength and that physical strength is going to propel them to the fullest capacity.
All right. A few weeks ago, we had Mr. Andall on the program, and he spoke about the whole issue of the logistics for, like, he using his school, for example, McDonald College. And it was a cost factor in terms of having a camp ensuring the athletes are together, all these sort of things. And Mr. Andall, you probably can give us an update in a while about that. But Mrs. Jeffrey, what's about, well, your school is one, but holistic in terms of the other schools, because the Intercol, the stage at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium, which is in St. George's, right? It means that all the schools will have to come, except probably for Carriacou, that will probably come down and camp. The other schools will have to consider, if possible, they can do something like that. I know since I was attending GBSS more than 20-something years ago, they have this camp and all these sort of things. Because there is a logistical nightmare having the students or the athletes returning home day one, returning home day two, and having to be back up probably by 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to get together and to get the bus to get back to the stadium and all these sort of things. Let's talk about the whole logistical nightmare for these athletes, especially in the outer parishes, and having to shuttle back and forth day one, day two in particular.
And it's also a logistical nightmare to camp, because there are so many challenges with camp. Many of the schools are currently reluctant to camp, and for various reasons. Some common reasons, and some have specific reasons pertaining to their schools in general. But the things is that we do not have a space for camping right now. We're trying to find a space for Carriacou to house, because we bring down the 2 Carriacou teams and they have to camp somewhere. Last year, we had, thanks to the GFA, Wesley College and Westmoreland School, the athletes were able to camp there. And these are mixed schools, so we have to do males one place, females another place. So we had some from the Hillsborough Secondary School, I believe it was Hillsborough, that camped at GFA, Mr. Andall?
Yeah, the girls.
The girls and the boys were at Wesley College. And then we had different areas of the Westmoreland School for the Bishop's College. This year, because Wesley College cannot accommodate for different reasons, they themselves
because Wesley College is camping, Jeffrey?
Wesley
College is camping this year.
Yes, they're camping this year. And then
they're the closest to the stadium and they're camping. All right, go ahead.
Yes. And there are schools that do not have the facilities to accommodate that kind of level of camping. But it's quite a few schools in St. George's are camping. So when the schools from the rural parishes are thinking about camping, they can't think about the schools. Right now, we have to look at finding a space for the Hillsborough Secondary School to camp. And that's one of the challenges that we have, even as I speak.
So Mr. Bascom, you spoke about logistics in traveling. The issue in traveling is not logistics,
No.
It's the mental and the physical fatigue for everyone, teachers, athletes, everybody.
Everybody.
Because I must tell you, from the time we started to camp, I would say somewhere in St. George's, and that's my best intercall. The last few intercall is the best intercall I've ever had.
You're more relaxed. You feel
definitely
relaxed.
A 5-minute drive from the stadium, wheresoever I'm staying, next morning the same thing applies. So I could just imagine the pressure on the kids to perform when they have to travel from the stadium to St. Andrew, to Tivoli, St. Patrick's, and these areas, and keep on returning day after day.
So right. So another thing that is a hindrance or a constraint, or maybe a challenge, is that there are you have to have a lot of supervision for the students when you're camping. So the students, the teams would definitely have to have a lot of adults. So you need to have that commitment from the adults that they will be there and they will supervise. Because wherever you are, Once students congregate, you know that they will need to be supervised because they will engage in behaviors that may not be the best behaviors for them. So that's another of the challenges. No space, no place that you can get with inexpensive or at no cost. Then there's the cost of having to feed them and so on because they're not going to back to their homes where they will get a meal in the night. So you have to give early in the morning. Although many of the schools, like my school, I think Mr. Andall's school, and so even before he started the camping, we do breakfast and so for the children.
Okay.
Yeah, but when we have them camped, we have to consider every meal for them. So that's an additional cost, and food is not cheap. So there are many things that we have to look at and consider when we're thinking about the camping, and that's why schools are not readily getting into the camping.
Just to add, Ms. Jeffrey, the camp is actually more expensive than the traveling, Mr. Basco.
Yes.
No, I'm serious. It's easier on the children bodies, is better for the performance, but it's actually more expensive than traveling every day.
Mr. Andall, let me ask this question.
Is it up to the cost? Yeah.
Yeah, it's up the cost, yes.
Yeah.
So is it better because in our days, and I mean long before me, we they travel back and forth.
2 days. 2 days.
Oh, it was 2 days then.
Yeah.
No, it extended. Okay. So there's a big difference. Yeah.
And even the competition itself,
itself, yeah.
Yeah. And the competition, the events and all these sort of things.
2 days, 2 days less events. So you travel the first day, the first night, you have one more travel and that is it.
One more travel and that's it. Yeah.
That's it. So.
And then remember, you used to have it in church. Remember, we experimented sometimes where one day used to be the girls, the other day the boys.
Yes.
And then
Yes. Yes.
So it should have been less.
So it does.
It's a bit better too. Yeah.
So there is no difference, even if you extend the days, it still don't make a difference. If you decide to go, less events a day, go 4 days, it still wouldn't make a difference. It's still based on the body of the athletes.
It actually would be worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because with the travel by itself, the traveling by itself,
yeah,
it's an issue. So, and a lot of the time, sometimes coming from St. Patrick, the fourth call for an event might be 9 o'clock. And sometimes 9 o'clock, we're still in Guelph because to get them in the morning, they come from different homes. You're in the school, you're waiting for them, you cannot see them.
Yeah.
It's a challenge.
And when you travel, Mr. Andall, when you travel to Intercol, do all of the athletes go with you on that day, even though some of them may not be performing?
Yes, all of them. Because you see, we want them to get a feel of what is taking place. You want to keep the team together. So you won't say, well, Rudian, you'll be performing on Wednesday, so Tuesday you'll stay home and you only come on Wednesday, no.
Yeah, because Rudian may end up going on the beach on Tuesday, right? But if you stay in the camp, and that's sort of.
No, Rudian go and ride a bicycle on Tuesday and he break his foot.
Yeah, I go and ride a bike. I go and climb a coconut tree and fall down or something,
Jordan Mitchell is saying, so then we now need a sponsor for creation of an athlete village, transportation from one central place. It's a massive cost factor and other associated ones, but should the discussion begin? And
I agree.
Right. But here is something that we can put into the discussion now. Chenny was saying, Mike, I'm keen to know from your guests the following. While Grenada's sporting program must be applauded, is there any external program being mirrored to ensure growth of the games and avoidance of those challenges identified? And has the Secondary Schools Principal Association submitted a written proposal to government for consideration with budget and objectives identified? 2 questions.
Right.
Jeffrey, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll start with the first one. Yes, we have. And that's why we were able to get the support in such a significant way this year. So that's the answer, for short answer to that question. The second one, yes, we do not mirror one game, but we do look at various aspects of the games. We do, as I said from the very beginning, we are beings that are very innovative, and we look at what works within our context, what we can improve within our context, but we also look at the champs and the Olympics and the Caribbean, all these things, so that we can be informed by those and we would know where we need to adjust and so on. Our technical director, Mr. John L. Mitchell is very versed in the area of sports, and I know that he follows the athletics, world athletics technical rules and so on. So these things all inform how we go about with our games to ensure that we produce a quality game in Grenada, a quality championship in Grenada, and that our athletes can improve from year to year.
Mr. Bascom, I want to, Mr. Bascom, before you go, I want to talk about the last part of Cheney's proposal. I agree with Cheney's proposal, because I will tell you why. We would approach the government and we tell them we want assistance. And we give them various reasons why we want the assistance. But what I saw for what Mr. Joseph have written is that it's simple. You need a detailed plan. We need to give them a detailed proposal of what we want, why we want it, and how that will develop the sport. So you see, every year on Intercol, we normally have a conversation, and a lot of fantastic ideas will come up. No compilation, no proposal, and by the rest of the year, we forget it, and next year we continue. So I know years ago, Mr. Bascom, I don't know if you who give that, but you identify various stakeholders that, let's say after Intercol, we could have that getting together, Principals Association, GA, whatsoever. Right. And instead of just lip service, because you see, we might talk about it today and we forget. People come on the program, you forget. We send a detailed proposal to government. So at least we have a document stating how much we want, why we want it, and how we think that will develop the sport. So I agree with Mr. Joseph for this.
Yeah, and you try to do it too, as they say, when the iron is hot. You know?
Yes.
Intercol, they come, they experience it, they see what it is, they see the vibe, they see how excited it is, but there is a cost to it. There is something that we pay. Why not? That conversation should start with you probably a week or two right after Intercol, because they're still, the vibes are still there. Don't wait until, that's it. He's saying too, maybe it's an opportunity for the government to construct a dormitory near the stadium for future events in those multi-schools or national events to house them and reduce accommodation costs. It can be something that even when we're having the discussions with government, that's something they can discuss as well. Toro is saying the hotels in Grenada making money. They never really reinvested in sports and culture in Grenada, not even Spice Mart. They should be lobbied to provide accommodation to the student athletes. Each hotel should be contributing to our sports initiative. Desiree Stephen is saying, and Desiree is this General Secretary of the Grenada Athletic Association. That was a discussion a couple of years ago when the ministry requested a strategic plan for the games to span 3 to 5 years. So it's probably something that can be, they can return to the burner in terms of a strategic plan over a period of years, right?
Yes.
That you can provide to the government, but again, it should be something that should be done while the iron is hot. And again, your stakeholders, the principals, the ministry, the athletic association, and I should say ministries, education, sports, athletic association, Olympic committee, because all these are stakeholders, that should be involved in that, that can have that discussion very early. Come up with a
don't forget, Mr. Bascom, don't forget to call your name, Michael Bascom.
No. It's just something.
Also, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Sports. So what she's speaking of there. At that time I was not on the planning committee, the committee for the Intercol Games, but I'm aware that this engagement was started. And sort of not a full-fledged, but a proposal that was submitted then in terms of a 3 to 5 year plan. Because I did, as the secretary then of the GAPSS, I did assist with the writing it up and so on. I know that it was submitted. I recall also that as part of, but okay, so let me just step forward and just reiterate that following that, as the president know, we have submitted a proposal to the government of Grenada. So with those sorts of things in mind, also detailed in there in terms of what our vision is, what we would need to get there, how much of an injection we would need to get there, how do we see their role as government in helping us to get to that point where we want to get. We also must, because we keep speaking about the government. I know, yes, we mentioned other stakeholders, and we have to highlight that other stakeholders must come on board. So I must reiterate that other stakeholders must come on board, because the conversation was actually started under Miss Desiree Stevens as the permanent secretary. And thankfully that the current Minister for Sports and the current permanent secretary were able to follow through on that vision.
But I was saying that why not try to bring it further in terms of actually making it a line item, a budgetary allocation. So like Spice Mass, I consider Intercol as a very Rudy, and I think you can help me. We spoke about it at the start of the program. It has economic value.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So I am
this is a conversation for the government and not us, because when I say that, I mean we're part of this conversation here. But in terms of making it an allocation in the budget, is up to them. Yes, we would encourage that, but they are the ones now to. So maybe when you have a discussion in one of your programs, maybe you might have something with the Minister of Sports. You can also bring that up.
Yeah, well, we plan to have the minister not too long from now. Seeing as the budget is already read, she said that she will be available. So once we get that, but I think that's very important, because we shouldn't be in a situation where every year we go into the government in asking or begging for something, right? It should be such that every year
we know
that this is what it is, and we probably accept when it's a larger slice, and things like that. So, because they consider and they value the contribution Intercol makes towards not just the economy, but towards the social well-being, sports development, all the strata of society, right? Jenny says, back to the sports symposium, Mike. Time to become a reality. Yeah, we're still working on it, man. Any plan has to consider other sports. Some of the needs of track and field are the same needs of football, cricket, swimming, basketball, netball, and volleyball. And Grenada gets a Canadian hockey coach. Yes, Toro and his hockey.
Just one thing, so both of you guys as principal in separate parishes, what would you like to see, or how helpful would the parish sports council be to you guys, or what would you like to see, or what support would you like to get from that?
I don't want to forget something that Michael just said. So, Dianne, if you would just allow something that he just read about I think it was Mr. Depredine that made the statement about having considering the other sports, and I just want it to be known that the Grenada Secondary School Games Association has objectives. When it was registered under the GAPSS, the objectives are ready to manage and organize and manage the different sporting disciplines in Grenada at the secondary school level.
Okay, right. So it's something like ISA, right?
Like ISA,
yes.
Okay.
So it is not just about Intercol. It's just that we have not reached that point yet, but that is when we registered in 2019.
Yes.
That's the objective.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. But let me just interject because Desiree is saying here further, the plan should include how the schools benefit. This should be included in that plan because at the end of the day, the schools need to be fit so that they can support their athletes, right? That should be it as well. Intercol can be listed as a line item for each budget presentation within the ministry, but the joint schools must submit rather than the ministry ahead of review by the ministry. Um, yeah, yeah. Toro is just there teasing us, but lots of. Mr. David Bascom, I think he's in North Carolina. He's saying, has anyone brought up intercollegiate merchandise as a way to raise funds for the athletes? Yeah, we spoke about that earlier, Dave. In terms of and how, and by the way, and how some people are profiting from it. But as Mrs. Jeffrey said, they have had discussions. They have had suggestions, recommendations, and they are working along with at least 3, I think now, so far, 3 that have gained permission. And if anyone has any ideas or whatever, and you want to work along with the schools in particular, please try to work with the schools. Please try to engage the schools before you go and do what you have to do. Because again, Rudian spoke about illegal. Yes, Rudian, it's illegal to just take a logo, take the school logo without their permission, and go ahead and do what you want to do with it. I mean, come on, it's you can't be profiting from the school, even if you are a past student of the school. It's only right that you get permission. There's copyright laws in Grenada, right? And the schools definitely can take action. Thanks for the clarification, Mrs. Jeffrey. Think I will make you an honorary GBSS girl and Mr. Andall an honorary GBSS boy.
Mr. Deparin, I think lady in your house, I think I find you're supposed to start you have to convert to SAS.
But by the way, Mr. Deparin, that's Cleve, his brother's wife is a past student of the Sinaji.
Oh, he's the brother. I thought it was him. I thought it was him.
No, it's Toro that's doing that. But his brother, his brother's wife attended SAS, and in fact, he said that she went with her SAS T-shirt all the way to either Africa or Asia or somewhere there. She was touring with that, she says there are many very active alumni groups who can fund merchandise. That's Desiree saying that. That's true. And again, we have been asking for those alumni groups to get involved, contact your schools, and things like that. So
but also, Michael, listen, the schools can also do their own merchandise. They have done it in the past, so the schools can do their own. They don't have to depend on outside sources. Everything could be sold from the school, where the school could, it could be a fundraising as well for the school, for any major sports, right?
Which is a cost.
What Michael is saying is that we would need, as Desiree stated, the assistance of the alumni. Because there's a great cost to producing those things. So sometimes you do not have that upfront injection.
All right, Mr. Thompson, I know your wife is sad as well. I know your wife.
Dianne had asked a question about the Sports Council. So the Sports Council is currently in the infancy stage, but in terms of the objectives of what they expect, we are very optimistic that we can collaborate and see some really good changes happening, especially in the outer parishes like ours, with improvements in terms of the facilities and the equipment and so that we believe that they can help to initiate some of those changes that we expect to have within our parishes to improve our athletes. So that's one of the things that I'm seeing. And I believe you asked about how we can. I can't remember the exact question, Rudian. But
Yeah, I was asking, like, how they can be supportful, or if it, what do you think, is it a benefit to you guys? And can you do, we got Mr. Andall, this spoke about the support of getting soap and even coaching and how we can help the athletes, is that another way? Because I like the idea of the sports council, the sports parish council, because now I think that Grenada could have their own mini Olympics, just within the parishes on their own in lots of different sports, but also in terms of with the help, now we could have a proper track and field club in St. Patrick's, in a sense where not that there is not, but in a sense where it's controlled by by them, where they can get the coaches. It could be something that's manageable, and we could get all the kids from the elementary school all the way up, and it's not a school thing, but it's actually it's a club, right? The after school program.
And we can have, as I said, the better facilities where we'll have, because in a lot of instances we do not have equal playing fields. We don't have the same facilities. We don't have, and it may never happen where we have the same, but at least bringing up some of them up that definitely need to be improved, bringing them up to par.
Mr. Sylvan, you asked what I think about the sports council in his current construct.
Yeah, well,
I don't have any thoughts on them.
I understand. I do, and I do understand, because we did had somebody on, and I didn't make the same comment. I do understand from so let's leave it there. I do understand what you're saying.
All
right, cool.
Let me
Miss Jeffrey, before you go, you mentioned that there was, is it 3 championship in one? So you have the boys, the girls, and combined?
Well, we usually give an award for the combine, but it's really the boys, the girls championship. Okay. Yes, and then the overall, who has the mixed schools, the one who has the most.
But then people don't celebrate that. They don't celebrate that one. They don't celebrate that one.
That one is not yet. That one is not one we don't celebrate.
Listen, anything for a school to have something, that's it,
I know, but yet still, we give, they get a big trophy, everything is announced, but people don't celebrate that. Everybody wants to, it's the boys and girls,
So I know, Rudy, and you were talking about with all that's happening now with mixed relays and all these things, but because we have not all the schools are co-ed, it's not something we can pursue except with probably exhibition, in terms of mixed relays and things like that. So, Mrs. Jeffrey, this is anything you all have considered in terms of an exhibition, of such, because I know relays becoming something big now in sports. Everyone looking forward to the relays, things like that.
But you wouldn't take your best athletes to. You won't take your best athletes for Intercol.
You can't take your best athletes to compete. Yeah,
because they know that problem.
Yeah.
Right. But one of the things also, Mr. Andall, one of the things, and I've seen it this year a little bit, that is there a way that we are thinking of having more sporting events, like more games, like both schools, like these 2 schools coming together, having an invitational meet with 3-4 schools? It doesn't have to be, all the schools, and having so that kids can get more events. Is that a plan?
Listen, very good question. We started Western Games in 1994.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Right, and Western Games lasted a very long time. The last time we had Western Games was 2017, which was 8 years ago. Since last year, I made a vow that Western Games have to return.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I work really, really hard to get Western Games going, up to the point that where the Minister of Sports was present, the PS was present, and the Minister of Sports decided she would put some pressure on the other schools. So, for example, when we launched Intercol, in her opening statement, the challenge was sent out to the schools in the East, SAS and GSS and others, as well as the schools in the South. Because ideally, Rudian, other than really meet our national champs, I think the Western Games, the Eastern Games, the Southern Games, they should be calendar events.
Calendar,
yeah, because you see, at the school level, you get a chance to see your athletes. But when you go to the Western Games or the Southern Games, you see them competing against other kids. And that could be a better build-up to Intercol. So at least as a coach, you look at the strengths and weaknesses and you know where to work on. So I agree with this. But the Eastern Games happen, start. The same thing happened with the Southern Games. I must say the Western Games went out with a bang this year. And I fully believe that once the efforts are made to bring back Eastern and Southern Games, the interest and the passion will be the same.
All right. Right. So some comments there because I want to give an update on the issue regarding our athletes at the Boys and Girls Champs, right?
Yeah.
But, Desiree is saying, and I think her comment is in relation to the Sports Council. She said, and that is the remit of the council. They should be responsible for one major field in each parish, where they should focus on having it brought up to excellent standards and with lights and amenities, so the athletes have accessible facilities, right? And that's something I think we have been talking about in terms of roles and responsibilities and things like that. Jenny says, whether or not we agreed, Grenada needs to reconcile to allow persons with abilities to contribute to thrive, including the Sports Council. I know the topic is an intercall, but the Sports Council needs to be addressed in terms of their silence or lack of visibility. Desiree says, that has been encouraged from the GAA's end. This year, we will see the Classic Lighting meeting towards the end of May. Classic Lighting sponsors a number of clubs and schools. Yeah, we do know, we have seen them. I think, because Boca Secondary School is one of those. And
McDonald College.
Oh, McDonald
College is one of them.
One of the sponsors, yeah, that's true. Narissa, well, they just want to say publicly here that we, the Oil Factory, is proud to be working along with the Principal Association to provide quality merchandising. Yeah, we spoke. Well, I think you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I did mention here.
Right.
Yeah,
just to give, so folks, so we had these two athletes from Kingston College, well, from Hillsborough Secondary School, Jurel Clement and Dylan Logan participated in the Boys and Girls Champs. There's one other athlete, but these two in particular from Karakou. And Jurel Clement actually won the decathlon. And then some schools launched a protest after he won that, and they actually had disqualified him. So it meant that at that time, he was no longer the champion, and they deducted 12 points from Kingston College.
KC.
Appeal, well, KC, they appealed it, and they actually won the appeal. The appeal was in such that the conclusion was that in the totality of the circumstances, neither Jurel Clement nor Casey has done anything wrong or breached any rule, and therefore the decision to penalize Jurel Clement and or Casey is arbitrary, flagrantly, and should be reversed or set aside. Consequently, this appeal or objection should be allowed, and Jurel Clement should be fully reinstated to all privileges, including the points, 12, and earned for Casey. Dated the 28th of March, which was yesterday, and in fact, that came out late yesterday evening. That was something that was sent to me from Jamaica, because there was an objection that the school had breached a rule, but the thing about it is that the rule came in effect in 2024, but Jurel was actually at KC prior to the rule. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So they can't win that. So because they said they exceeded the quota.
Right. Yeah.
Right, they exceeded the quota, but as you say, he was already a student. Okay, I understand.
And that's the same question I asked earlier. So why was he singled out as the one to be disqualified?
So he was a student of Casey prior to the rule, which took effect in 2024, which was last year.
Yeah.
So that rule did not apply to him and Casey because he was really a student, and the rule actually was with immediate effect from that, not retroactive. And the schools wanted to be retroactive. Yeah. So
Bascom, so the plan for me for McDonald College is come July, I'm going Kenya for some athletes.
Well, we have seen
I concur.
We have seen what the Kenyans are doing there, right? We have seen what the Kenyans are doing there. But by the way, so that was the case. So I think it was the other athlete, Logan,
Yeah.
who's because I tried to get information on Logan, and because Jewel was there prior to, Logan was the one that would not have been able to.
exempted.
So how much Logan please? How much Logan came?
Well, Logan was low in the order in his thing.
Right, so disqualify Logan, you feel it right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So no, but in that context, because Logan did not really muster any points in terms of
Yes.
activity. So I think they were going because 12 points for Casey
Yes.
is a lot of points.
Yeah, with me.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of points. So they were really going at him for that, you know. And so he remained the champion. The other thing, though, is that something I don't know if Desiree is still on that she may be able to clarify. With that sort of performance, I don't know if he'll be able to get onto the character team. I know normally what they do the character selection, and if you have outstanding performances in terms of that, and even at Intercol, there will be a consideration for the athlete to be included, even though it comes at a cost and all the logistics involved. But normally, I know the Athletic Association will look at those factors and see whether or not, because that to me was an outstanding performance by, even though the only event he did not finish in the top 3. I think it was in the 1500 meters where he finished 5th or 7th or something, or the pole vault.
Okay.
So all the other events he was in the top 3. So that's outstanding and good to see. So so she's not okay. So that's good. She's saying he has been selected by the committee for the team. Right. That's good because the team that was selected following the national championships. I know his name was not on it, but that's good to know. I know normally it's a case where the Athletic Association will look at performances even after and consider it case by case, look at it, and that's good to know. Yes, the third, that third athlete, Sheeran Phillip, but he did not participate as he only went up last August. Jewel has been at the school since 2023. So yes, so Philip is the other one I was referring to, and he could not have participated. And by the way, Logan's name, because you saw some of my reports, I had Logan included in it. But then when I looked for further information, Logan, everything was wiped clean. He was no longer in the starting lineup for Kingston College, and even the results on probably day 1, I think he participated in the shot put or the discus or whatever, and he qualified. All of that was deleted. It was deleted. So it means that both Logan and Philip were the ones who could not have participated and represent. But Mr. Andall, you're getting some support. She says, bringing them Kenyans before you. Yeah. So that's another school I'm trying to bring some Kenyans. But that's too good to know that for athletes, the javelin. Oh, Tariq Daly won that. The javelin, the interview going on with the javelin, the winner of the javelin. Some very interesting. Why I like to monitor that is because it gives me an idea of character. Seeing as the Jamaicans normally dominate the character, I thought I'd gauge where we are before that. Kenny says, before your guest leaves today's program, what are their projections for finishing in the top 3 at Intercol? And who do they think is their biggest challenger? I sense some apprehension on commenting, especially in the mail. Andal, we will. You go first, Mr. Andal.
On Ms. Jeffrey, on the relay, on the record that you mentioned, that there is some monetary prize for the records, which is a good incentive. Is there a little bit more for the relay since it's been split, or is the same prize money?
It's the same. I don't know. But we have not. As I said, it's TNR Communications that has given that proposal. So I believe that maybe there would be some further consideration if it's
okay.
Yeah, but I cannot say as of now. Yeah,
That's fun. And I like the initiative, like you're saying, that a lot of the records been there for a while. It really give the athletes some sort of motivation in everything that you guys are doing. You guys are did a tremendous. I know Intercol is not here yet, but it feels like it's here already based on what's been going on. And kudos to you guys and your team for what you guys doing. And you guys are growing better and better. Now we just to get all the other sports under one banner and have something of the same happening for all the other sports, so every sport can get the love, just as Intercol, not as grand as it, but get some love as well. So certainly continue what you guys are doing, and the support is there. But I really like to see some sort of format for sponsorship from the diaspora. I like to see you guys put something out where folks like myself and others can support and help in any format, in any way that you guys maybe have a list of what you guys would like, that will help. Sometimes it's not only monetary, but other things that can help. Certainly, it'll be nice to see that for the next Intercol to come.
Surely.
Andall, you ready to talk? No, hold on. Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Andall.
Yes, the girls division, the top 3 teams, my prediction. SAS, not in order, not in chronological order, but SAS, Boca, SAS, Boca, St. David Secondary. That's the girls division. In the boys division, GBSS and SAS. I can't get a third school, but it's GBSS and SAS.
So you made Mr. Andall go before me, and I have the same thing. I have, well, possibly AHS or can come up in the girls there. So SAS, Boca. So I'm calling for St. David's and AHS. And for the boys, no, we can't. We don't know what factor the Carrico team is bringing in. So.
Oh yeah.
Make your prediction. You afraid to make your prediction? Make your prediction.
BSS. And I don't know, Mr. Andall, you're afraid to call McDonald College?
Miss Jeffrey, when my time reach to call my school, I would call. I know when my time reach, my time don't reach yet.
I'm a big fan of the Dallas Cowboys. A big fan. Even though they're losing 30-0, I still believe they're going to win the game. So McDonald College is in my blood, and they will always be in my top 3, regardless of what, regardless if they can do it. If it's one athlete, they will be in my top 3 every single time. They are in the heart, they're in the blood. So maroon all the way.
Yes. We not lose your supporting.
Yeah.
Chenny is proposing a $250 for the winner of his favorite event, the 800 meters male, an additional $250 if a record is broken.
No.
Chenny, personally or your company? Let's get it straight.
Mr. Bascom, tell Mr. Joseph that we have 800 meters male. We have 3 events now: sub-junior, junior, and senior. Okay. So you have to say it's not open anymore.
So it's not open. So you need to have So you need to have
all right.
Enough money for all.
So
you have to say which one.
Yeah. So Chenny, which division? You said is the male, but there's not an open again. So you need to say which one. But and Sandal, I'm glad Mr. Joseph mentioned it, because I noticed, and I wrote an article regarding the 2 events, the national championships, and well, the relay meet itself, but the national championships organized.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that was very, I was so fascinated about was the number of athletes. And I mean, yes, the quality may not be the best, as you say, we have a long way to go, but I am seeing a lot of interest in athletes, because I look at the age group championships, for example, the age group in And I noticed a lot of athletes are competing in the 800, for example.
Correct.
Right?
Very correct.
I saw, I mean, in first time in a long time, I was seeing 2 and 3 batches in an event like the 800.
800.
Whereas it used to be one batch with about 6 athletes, you know. So I'm saying it's a good sign. We have a long way to go, but the point you have been making, which is important, if we can get our qualified and seasoned coaches to be part of that program, especially at the foundation level, we will start seeing, somewhere probably a year, 2 years from now, we will see the fruits of our labor. You mentioned even the training of coaches. We have some coaches who are certified to train coaches. Right?
Correct.
And look at Mr. Abel-Jeffrey as one, for example. Mr. Paul Phillip is another one.
Yes. Max Win.
Yeah.
But that's why, Michael, I put that proposal over and over again that we should personally have that happening in Grenada.
So we should be using them to train
because
our other, because they go in other islands to train people,
Because about 7-8 years ago, when I did my level 1 course, our trainers was Mr. Max Win and Ms. Dennis Williams. Mm-hmm. So all we had, they were local trainers. So I know they have the capability of doing so. Yeah. However, you spoke about the 800 at national champs under 17 boys. We had like over 40 athletes.
Look at that. Mm-hmm.
But did you remember who won that event though?
I'll have to go in the results. I have the results somewhere. Yeah, I'll have to go. So that's why he asked Mr. Joseph particularly to say which division, Yeah, so Desiree is saying that, these days 800 is like a sprint and not a distance. That's what I'm saying, right? It's almost, because I saw these, I was kind of fascinated about this because, prior to that, everyone is interested in 100, 200, and the 400 in the case of when Frantique and Kirani and others started dominating those things. But, 100 was always it, right? And things. But I was so amazed when I see so many of these kids competing in the distance races, especially the 800, and then the 1500, and we've seen a gradual increase in terms of the numbers and the interest being shown, and the keenness, the competitiveness. And in some cases, I saw 7 athletes started in one heat, and all 7 completed in the 800. Yeah. That to me is good. And I'm hoping that we may see some of that at the Intercol, in terms of the competitiveness of the athletes. Yes, we're trying to get them to hit higher levels in terms of records and things like that. So it may work out. You never know what can happen on Intercol. Somebody may just have to do something and it may work. But
while you're at that though, the Intercol, the standard for Carifta is 2 minutes in the under 17 boys. And we had some guys running 2:03 national champs. In the 800, the standard is 1:54, and we had this guy from PBC.
Yeah.
Who already made the standard. Right. So obviously we could see not just increase, but don't forget last year, even placed at Carifta last year, the one from PBC. That's Adriel. So obviously we've seen vast improvement in the 800 meters. But Mr. Bascom, I have a theory though. I believe that because of the exploits of Frantic, Rondell Bartholomew, Kirani, James, Donald Pierre, and all the others over the years, in my opinion, all of our athletes, including those who think they are sprinters, should be running the 400. Because in my opinion, as a nation, we understand the 400 program well.
Yeah.
You realize that throughout the island as we speak, we have elite 400 runners emerging over the years. So we have Rondell up in St. Patrick, we have Kirani in Guav, and it goes on and on. So my appeal to the coaches, all your athletes from the time they start the training program, ensure they run 400.
Yeah. You remember Bolt started in the 400, eh? Bolt
Yes,
started in the
I do.
400. Yeah, and then he became the world's best sprinter, you know. So that is possible. But before I go on to Chenny's actually clarifying. He's saying that the 800-meter senior boys, he will also offer the same for the senior girls, and they can contact him after the program. So we do have Chenny that will make a contribution towards the 800 meters for senior boys and girls,
Okay.
right?
Okay, good.
Right, yeah. So, you know, the records at 250, and for the records, and an additional 250 for the winner.
The record in the senior boys is Kendall Simon.
Kendall Simon, formerly of SAS, right? Is he still coaching?
Yes, he's coaching this year.
Oh, GCA. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's good. Mrs. Jeffrey, a question to you. What color shirt? Yeah, what color shirt you wearing? What color shirt?
Maroon.
I wear colors according. We have our wear, so we choose colors, a variety of colors on different days. We don't have a standard that maybe on the first day we might decide to wear whatever color we would have selected. We would say, well, if we're wearing, like last year we had this color. I think what day we wear this one?
For me, I don't.
All the principals, right?
All in line. So,
Miss Jeffrey, I don't go down the schedule. I wear my own colors.
Yeah.
I remember last year you and Mrs. Ann
definitely have a group.
Yeah, you always talking about that. You all were talking about that in truth. Yeah.
Yes, but when I wake up in the morning, I put on something and I go.
Yes.
Well, that's what we do, my Andall. We from the north, we wear what we want.
So Desmond says those two little GBSS boys in the 3000, there's interest in the distance races. So we have
yes, she's correct.
The 3000, right?
Yes, she's correct.
Okay, so that's
Form 1 students, 2 Form 1 students at GBSS.
And you know, just last week, Mr. Andall, you and I were speaking about the same 800.
Yes.
We were saying because of the number that we must do the preliminary.
Yes.
In the past, we must do a preliminary for the 800.
Yeah, but right now it's 40 something. It's too much. 40, about 45 or so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So certainly, Miss Andall, Miss Jeffrey, you know, when I listen to the $250, you know, for the 800, that's an idea right there to get folks to sponsor. You keep it at a specific price, but every single race. Every single race. But you keep it at a certain price. If it's first, second, and third, but you just, you know, every single race, and that another incentive that expand the games, that make it more fun, more a little bit more great. Maybe drawing more athletes to want to run and do, you know. So yeah.
Should we give them the money openly, though?
No.
Right. So this is one thing I want us to gather games, because I know the rules over there.
Well, over here they're not allowed to accept any money.
Yeah.
Right. So if we give them the money, we cannot make a show of it.
Yeah. However, it's no longer a thing for NCAA anymore.
NCAA, yeah.
Okay. That changed.
Okay. Yeah, they have the new.
Okay. So that's why they can accept it, but it could be something that can be done. Maybe in school, at assembly or something. It doesn't have to be at the games.
At the games.
Discreetly. Okay, good.
Yeah, but it will be something nice that they know there is something coming. Because you see the same thing in the world event. Most of the time they go there, you don't see them giving them the stuff right away. They probably get it later on after the fact, right? So certainly.
It could be done through the schools, whatever it is like that.
Yeah.
For example, every event at the Boys and Girls Athletics Championships is actually sponsored. Every single event. Caribbean Airlines, TV Jamaica, whatever. Some of them monetary though, right? But what you see they're actually giving them is almost like a token. So like a bouquet or whatever. And things like that. But they get whatever it is.
Okay.
So these are things we can consider. There is one other thing that so Theo was telling me about Kendall Simon doing an awesome job with those children training in the 800 and the 15, right? I saw something about Clever saying most improved McDonald College. No. Do we have is it always a sort of suggestion? And I thought about it when I saw it pop up there. That way we can have as a form of incentive as well. Most improved school. And based it on something. I mean, it can be the principal can ask a committee or whoever, or some officials who are there, to come up with something.
Michael, do you wanna base it on one sport, or you wanna base it end of the year on all sports?
No.
Give or take.
It's an intercol track and field. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Every year we go to the Caribbean Games. The journalists usually will be given the opportunity, because I was the chair of the Caribbean Sports Journalists Association, and it was our duty at the time to come up with we used to actually do the Austin Sealy Award, the most
outstanding,
most outstanding country
athlete, the most well athlete in that time. We used to do.
Yeah.
So to get the Austin Sealy Award, right? And we have criteria what we we come together, we discuss it, and then we give the recommendation to the organizers who will announce it at the end. We've used it probably based on records, whatever it is like that. But I'm looking at it in terms of school, because obviously if you have athletes performing and winning and breaking records, they most likely will be, as you call it, the Victor Ludorum, the Victress Ludorum, whatever it is, because they're most outstanding. They probably got the most points. But you're looking holistically in terms of school, their participation, athletes in terms of events, and all these sort of things, a holistic thing in terms of the most improved school. I'm just looking at ideas, things like that. So, for example, there's a reason why Mr. Andall or Mrs. Jeffrey will suggest Boca Secondary School as probably in the top 3 for females. There's a reason why. Why? Probably based on their performances last year and based on what they have seen this year in the various meets, organized, and things like that. So all these things are things that, probably can add to that. But again, just ideas we throw out. Always a good having the discussion. Lots of athletes who started off in 100 and 200 are gravitating to the 400, and there's, a reason why they shouldn't. Let me just get some of the comments before we wrap up here. I'm just saying you cannot wear your school colors. You all had a debate last year in terms of what you all wearing. I know that. People are asking, would there be tickets on the days of Intercol since all sell out online?
Okay, so let me just clarify this here. It's not that all is sold out online. We give a limited amount online because we have to get the physical tickets, and that's something we didn't even get to. We import our tickets, and there has been a little bit of a disappointment in terms of getting it here. There's been a hold up somewhere in the transitioning, so they're not here physically as yet, but we've been releasing a little bit more online. But we must keep some, because not everybody would buy tickets online. So we would have, once we get them here, our expectation was that we would have had them this week, so we would have been releasing physical tickets as of Monday. That's the 31st. As we stand now, we may not be able to do that as of Monday, but to the extent that we wanted to, but there will be physical tickets, and we would be releasing some more online.
All right.
And there will be, but we encourage people also to make sure that they purchase, or to try as much as possible to purchase them upfront, so that there would not be any big long lines, which would be a little bit uncomfortable, and it could also become a bit chaotic when we have long lines for the tickets.
Okay. So how do the students get their tickets?
The students get the tickets at the schools. So we send the tickets to the schools.
Yeah, that has always been.
Dr. Bascom, how long before we finish?
Well, we getting ready to wrap up there. We coming up in 2 hours.
Because I'm on the road, and right now my phone gone, so I'll take my leave now.
Okay, so
Okay.
all right, and yes, very much so. Thanks very
Before
much,
Mr.
Mr.
Andall goes, I just want to say something so that he can hear, because we did mention about the Sports Council earlier, and he said he has no comments. Now, the secretariat that we have set up for this year is actually being housed at the parish, the St. George, the parish of St. George Sports Council office. So that's one of the ways.
He's smiling.
we are benefiting.
Certainly. So there is benefit. There is benefits.
So yeah, Mr. Andal probably said, Mr. Andal said I should have. Mr. Andal is probably saying I should have already left. All right, but before
All
you
right.
go,
Have a good evening, everyone.
yeah,
All
okay,
right, have a good one. Good to see you, man.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
Yeah, thank you very much. But before we go to just to wrap up, and you're saying that Kendall's daughter that came second in the 3,000 meters at the national champ at only 9 years. So Kendall Simon is doing wonders, eh? And remember, the record is held by Kendall. Kendall once dominated the long distance running for SAS and at Intercol for many years, even at the national level. And Kendall, by the way, a character medalist as well, you know. And good to see that he's coaching, and good to see now that his daughter is now coming up. By the way, what school is she at? Well, she's 9, so which primary school she's attending is one we may have to follow up on. I know she's at, they said GCA, which is Christian Academy. You get it at Christian Academy?
She's not there. He is coaching there.
He's coaching there.
One of
Okay.
the primary schools. I'm not sure if it's St. Mary's or
Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah.
one of the one of the schools.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. Right. No, I don't think the tickets at the schools are free in Narissa. Are student tickets free at the school?
No.
not
There
free.
are some, because IMA usually gives out some, and any sponsor that wants to purchase tickets and give
Okay.
to schools so that they can give out. But IMA, as part of their sponsorship, that's they usually try to focus a lot on the students. So they give to the students who are coming to view the games, as well as the student athletes.
Okay, so Jenny, that answers Jenny. Answers
Question.
Jenny
Yeah.
question. Yeah, and I would like to suggest during the intercall that we involve the students in the stands by media personnel interview students during the game so that the games can be more impactful online.
Yes,
So
that is one of the things that we're going to be doing this year. I just forgot to mention it. Yes, so we're going not just to the students throughout the stadium. There will be some live interviews to get the
Yeah, that would be good. That would be a good. And just for clarification, St. Mary's RC Lafayette, that's probably what everyone is attending.
Yes. Very
St.
good.
Mary's RC School in Lafayette. Wow, that's good. So that's someone we'll have to look out for. We'll have to look out for that little Kendall, right? Doing wonders. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mrs. Jeffrey. Always a pleasure having you. Lots of information.
I cannot leave without saying thanks too, because I must say
yes, please go ahead.
To all who have come on board and have been supporting us and have been really doing their part to improve sports in Grenada. So a big thank you to the government of Grenada through NLA, IMA. We also have Flow, KFC, and Pizza Hut. We have Carib Breweries with the Farmers brand. We have Glenelg Spring Water, which is the bottled water, the official bottled water for the games. We have Blue Bubbles. We have Brighton and Miners. We have YT Renters. We have Grenada Bottling Company, TNR Communications, and I believe that before the Intercol Games run off, that we would have much more sponsors coming on board to support this very, what I would want to call very important event for our students and our country in general. So thanks to them, and thanks to those who are also sponsoring our Match Pass. That's Classic Lighting Caribbean. Together with, as I mentioned before, Nawasa will be partnering with them also. And I also want to say thanks to all the sponsors that are sponsoring the schools, because that too is very important.
Yes.
Very, very important.
Yeah. Toro says next year we want to hear some hotel names mentioned. But Desiree is saying something there, Mrs. Jeffrey, and I wonder if you would agree, because it appears that's the sentiment now. The competition is more among the past students and teachers than the current students.
The competition is more of them.
Well,
actually,
what I enjoy seeing is that there's this teacher from GBSS. His name is Mr. Von Joseph. Well, everybody knows Mr.
Oh, yes.
And Mr. Joseph, some way or the other, Mr. Joseph end up at TalkSports and took photos with all his friends. And then a few weeks after, GBSS had an activity. Some of the SAS folks were down there.
And that's the kind of relationship.
Look who I just boxed up at a GBSS function.
Vaughn, all of them.
Right. But on a serious note, now I'm saying that's the sort of rivalry we have seen at the Intercol these days, right? The students and the past students in particular, are more involved in the rivalry. Sometimes there's more rivalry among them than actual competition itself. You understand?
And by the way, this does a very good thing in terms of promotion.
Yes.
The social media banter and everything. What I don't sometimes like is the some people take some of the things that are said as serious. So sometimes people would make comments about it, this person old and this kind of thing, and some people
take it too far.
I think some people misjudge the sort of rivalry and the camaraderie that those folks have, right? And they don't understand that, hey, they are, giving each other talk, but there's a line which they don't want you to cross,
you don't
right?
want to cross.
And please, outside of that, they are friends. They are good friends. But when it comes to Intercol, they'll tell you, hey, we stay over here, I'm here. You know what I mean? But after Intercol, they're all friends and things. So, and I think some people don't understand that, right? And they take it a bit too far, and they sometimes get into. I remember last year, for example, there was someone who had to say, hey, if you continue doing that, I will have to block you, right? Because the banter between us here is just rival, right? Outside of that, we are friends, right? So don't take it seriously. Finish line tickets bought out. My past students, within the first couple of days, they went on sale. Wow, that's good.
We're doing it. It's going well.
Yeah, finish line is always those that people want to get the best position and things like that. So, any fireworks at the end of?
No, we didn't plan fireworks, but it can happen still. We still have a few. Yes, we have over a week still to go, so we can. You can hear some additions.
That's good to know. Thank you very much, Mrs. Jeffrey. We wish you all the best, and as usual, we'll come back as we did and have a postmortem on Intercol 2025.
Definitely, and it's always a pleasure. Michael. And Rudian.
It's always a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And good evening to all these viewers.
Okay, then. Thank you. Rudy, and always a pleasure having the folks giving us all the
definitely.
But when it comes to that, I mean, as we say, it always have this interest in terms of to see GBSS will invite Mr. Jeffrey and SAS to a victory party in Tanty, boy. Last year we said a lot of things to Ro, and you know what happened, They had the laugh.
I know,
They had the laugh. So be careful, guys. Be careful. But no, you know, but on a serious note, and I think it's important. Desiree is a past athlete herself. She's the secretary of the Grenada Athletic Association. She was also the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Sport. But she made that point. You know, something we have always been thinking about, but not to that extent in terms of that strategic plan. It should be over a period of time, right? 3-5 years, for example, right? You put that strategic plan together, you present it. But it must be something, and I they put these things on, and you know, you most likely you'll get them who trying to put a lot of these things. Just some final comments before we shut down the program. Um, oh, Desiree saying, and it's not that serious. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, right, fun. And you know, we love the hype, but sometimes it's just that folks take it a bit too serious, right? And we're hoping that folks see the value of the intercall. And one of the things I'm hoping that, you know, in all seriousness, in terms of track and field, right? The Athletic Association, for example, with the onset of what happened with the national championships, right? It should also be something where that's my um, opinion. The national championships, the relay meet, and possibly the Whitsuntide Games as three activities under the auspices of the Athletic Association should be, and along with Intercall, yes. So Intercall, national championships, relay meet, and Whitsuntide Games should be those major activities we should be looking to push calendar events, budget line items, sub items within the budget. It may not always, you know, a subvention to these activities. Because when you look at it in terms of participation and all these sort of things, very important in terms of the development of our athletes and all these sort of things. It's very important. That's just my take on that, right? Folks, that's all for this weekend's program. Hopefully, we'll another program come. Our first program will be in the month of April, and hopefully, we'll be looking closer to the Carifta Games, right? Oh, so that's we saying at least two of them are to some extent. Yeah, at least I am saying that. You know, I might be pushing it a bit fast, but I'm saying when you look at what we have seen, and I'm just judging from what I've seen this year. I look at national champs, I look at part of the relay meet. Intercall is yet to come. Whitsuntide is yet to come. And I'm saying that when you look at the participation in particular, because if we're talking about youth and sports and development of youth, that is an area where we can look in terms of some investment, right? Whether it's private sector sponsors, whether it's government, whatever it is, we need a little more support in those activities in particular. That, yes, football, cricket, and others, yes, right? But when you look at track and field at the local level, and I always say that, it's basically school-based. It's basically youth-oriented. We don't have that many adults participating in track and field. So that's one area we can look at in terms of investment, right? And putting more focus in terms of development, even at the local, even if it means at the primary school level and such like that. Even if it means putting a little more funds to assist the athletic association in development programs, particularly those grassroots programs and those mini meets. Yeah, that's what I want to get at, the mini meets. Very important, because a lot of the athletes that are performing outstandingly at the national champs, if you look at that, go back to the mini meets and you'll see something. You'll see some of them in terms of that. The cross country, for example, that they usually will have, right? All of that as a precursor in terms of that. I know a lot of folks just focus on Intercol and get the hype for Intercol. Yes, it has a vibe, there's a hype. But prior to that, there's all the developmental programs. Primary school, national primary school should be a bumper this year as well. Look at what's happening at the parish level. There is something phenomenal that's happening in track and field. And I think now is the time to grab that and run with it. Run with it. Oh, sports tourism. We get almost 300 overseas athletes. Yes. So Whitsuntide, for example, was it last year or year before? Help me, Leslie. When we had a contingent from St. Vincent, almost 200 or probably 200 plus athletes came from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because everyone wants to come to Grenada. Then we had about 2 or 3 clubs coming from Trinidad, Barbados expressing interest, all of that. So my thing is that, hey, all we need to do is develop that, and make that one of your major meets. St. Vincent, look, this year we had Guyana Defense Force participating, and how I knew, I saw Guyana there, but then I saw something in the newspapers in Guyana talking about the Defense Force. So probably national. I mean, Whitsuntide, you never know. That was our national championships, right? And they were here. Our Whitsuntide, they may have a little more interest in it. So my thing is that use it as a means of sports tourism. Possibly, as Chenny proposed, look at some area that we can use for a dormitory or whatever it is like that. And that is something where they can come, we can attract more athletes, they can pay, reasonable rate or whatever it is, and have somewhere to stay, because most times, apart from travel, accommodation always a problem. So that is something we can look at. I know a couple of years ago, 2016, when we hosted the Carifta Games, they used that hotel in the Chinese-built hotel in Woodland, somewhere that area there. The big, big facility. I don't know why we have never tried to develop it and use it, maximize it, and things like that. So, right. Wow. So, folks, hear the information. Guyana, Barbados, St. Vincent, Barbados, St. Vincent, Trinidad, St. Kitts, BVI, Antigua. So, by all estimation to Whitsuntide, 2025 could be big. So, after Intercol, we have the classic lighting meet, and then we have Whitsuntide around the Whitsuntide weekend. So some of our athletes have some other activities to look forward to, and fans as well. You have activities to look forward to in terms of seeing our athletes compete. We used to say after Intercol there's nothing. One of the things I am hoping that our clubs and schools do is to use, not just Intercol, but there are other activities after Intercol, and let our athletes participate. When they go to Jamaica and they go to junior colleges and things like that, they participate for the entire year. Some of them have indoor, and then we have the outdoor season. So we have to get them into the vibes of competing for an extended period. And if there are activities, let them compete, right? So that's, we also have the Trackblazers meet, right? So we do have the Trackblazers meet, right? That's St. David's. You have the Trailblazer meet. And then we have early May. So, you know, we're talking about early April for Intercol, but all the way into May is competitions for our athletes. So as track and field fans, there's a lot we can look forward to over the next few weeks, right, in terms of track and field. So folks, don't forget that, right? What you can do, there is a lot of information that they normally post on the Facebook page of the Athletic Association. You probably go on there, see some of the flyers. In fact, I think there might have been an update regarding the character. Probably it's sold out by now, but you know, they were offering where fans can, you know, travel with the team or travel on a special charter to Trinidad and support Team Grenada. That might be sold out by now because obviously Trinidad is right next door. You know, I'm not surprised if that is gone, right? So flights sold out, right. Flights sold out, yeah, you know. So if you get the vibes, you know, you probably will have to find a way to get to Trinidad to support it, but it might be so expensive. I don't know if we might have a ferry or something like that. So, but so they have a few games ticket left. So for folks who don't have, there are a few games tickets left. So you can contact the Athletic Association. That's for folks who want to go to Trinidad or who going to Trinidad to support Team Grenada for the Character Games. You can contact either Des Receiving or the Athletic Association because they do have a few tickets left, right? Because some people may be going and they don't have tickets as yet, things like that. So you can contact them and you can get your tickets for the Character Games. Remember, the Character Games will be around the Easter weekend, and normally the competition will be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, right? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Friday. Well, you know, we used to have it long ago. We used to have Friday at the opening ceremony, blah blah blah, thing like that. So, but competition in earnest, Saturday, Sunday, the 19th to the 21st. So the 19th to the 21st of April will be Carifta 2025 in Trinidad. That's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Easter Sunday, Easter Monday in particular. And then, by the way, you have the Carifta Athletics and you have the Carifta Aquatics, which is the swimming. So you have the opportunity, you can go down and support Team Grenada, both in track and field and swimming, all of them in Trinidad. So they've got in a double whammy, as we would say, right? So in case for those who want tickets for the Carifta Games, and that's the athletics, you can contact either Desiree Stevens, she's General Secretary of the Athletic Association, or you can get in contact with the Athletic Association. They'll give you more information about that. Remember, the 19th to the 21st of April, so we have under a month remaining for the Carifta Games in Trinidad. Team Grenada, we have a large contingent, and we have some, you know, medal prospects. I'll tell you, we have some medal prospects based on what we have seen in terms of not just national champs, but looking at some of the performances. I can tell you some of our athletes are destined to be very competitive, right? And we should get some medals in that. Okay, folks, thank you very much for viewing once again. I mean, a long program today, but we had to get through quite a bit on Intercol 2035. That Toro. Toro, I don't think the minister like that. Not that current sports minister. He's up on DVSS, he's up on that. All right. Yeah. So hopefully next week, God's willing, we have another program. That's our first program in the month of April, and you know, we're getting closer to Intercol, and then we're getting into some of the other major sporting activities, giving you a lot of information about that. So until then, do have yourself a pleasant weekend, and whatever you're doing, do it to some level of moderation. Until then, be safe.